I think now, this time, the war on Gaza and the war on Palestine from this settler colonial state, Israel, has something new. I would say it's what is new is not the fact that the conflict is not inside of the areas of occupation, Gaza, West Bank, but this concern all the territories, including inside of Israel, where Palestinians there, they felt the lack of religious freedom, of course, for Muslim, and I think for Christian as well, their access to Al-Aqsa mosque, but there is the sweeping Israeli discrimination against them and their localities. We know how they are discriminated. So sociologically, the tension is there for many years, I would say, in the last many years. So now you have exactly 24 localities inside of Israel where you have inter-communal violence, where the Palestinian of Israel clash with the Jewish Israelis across the country. I was surprised to hear Israeli President Rivlin condemned the riots specifically in Lod and describing them as a pogrom. So reported bringing the imaginary of prosecutions against Jewish in Europe. So the consequences for that, for me, is very important this time and will not be like the other times. So the Palestinian is there, unified in the 3 areas, and there, but I would say with the Palestinian of the diaspora. Just being in Lebanon, I can report many demonstrations. We have it, and not only in Lebanon, but in each refugee camps yesterday. So I think the Arab world, generally speaking, demonstrate clearly a solidarity with the Palestinians. I mean, we see it through the demonstration in political space, in spite of COVID-19, but on social networks also. And I should highlight specifically countries like Morocco, Yemen, Tunisia, and Sudan. So this is very important. It's very interesting that the Arab Gulf nations are equally, I would say, minimum uncomfortable, because escalation of violence has put the Israeli-Palestinian conflict back on the regional agenda. This shows how the different accords in 2020 last year, it means between Arab United Arab Emirates, Sudan, Morocco, is embarrassing their leaders. These accords sought to bypass the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, and with the ambition and the naivety, I would say, of achieving political rapprochement with Israel without taking into account the Palestinian cause. So, so here where we are today concerning the conflict. However, unfortunately, I would say, whenever you have an authoritarian state, the impact of the street, the impact of the public opinion is minimal, I would say. So, but it's very important. So I am not underestimating the importance of showing solidarity to Palestinian people and against settler colonial project of Israel. But just to say that we will live in this dilemma. And this is why I don't see at all any advancement in resolving the Palestinian-Israeli conflict without a serious democratization of the Arab world. And here why it is important, the Arab Spring. And I think the Syrian people inspiration for freedom and democracy go hand in hand with any struggle for ending the settler colonial project in Palestine.